What's up, everybody? Hoang Zero here, and today we have for you another BT21 deck profile featuring Hunters, a deck that previously received support, back in BT12, I think. Joining me today is a very well-known Hunters player in the Hoang Zero Discord community, Llama Boy. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, what's up, guys? It's Llama. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of BT21 Hunters. I wanted to, show off the deck and how I think and why I think the deck is actually pretty solid moving forward.
But yeah. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll let Llama kind of take the reins, talk about the deck, and yeah, go on ahead.
All right. So, yeah, starting out with the egg, nothing really changes. You just play the Monimon on deletion. If you have save, draw one. It's just nice draw power, and draw power is always very good in this deck. Yeah, that's just the same from before. Going into the rookie lineup, there are some changes from the old list, so you still stick to the 4 copies of the BT12 Gumdra and the BT12 Psych. Main reason is for their draw inherits are still really, really valuable, but also they are 2 to Digicross, which is really helpful, and Psychmon lets you grab back stuff that you already tucked, like under your Tamers, so it's nice to be able to recycle some resources. And then next, playing 3 copies of the BT21 Gumdramon that we just got. On play, trash a card with save or hero and draw 2, and then on deletion save. It's just nice filtering as well. Very easy because everything in your deck is, has the right trait, is either save or has hero. So it's very easy to just get the draw and just get that little extra dig. And there's another card later in the list that this card synergizes really well with, but in general, it's just very nice extra dig and some DP. And then for the last rookies, 2 copies of the BT12 Dracmon, which on play, reveal up to 3 Tamers from your hand, put them on the bottom of your deck, and draw as many cards as you put at the bottom of your deck. It's always nice to, have a mulligan in this deck because you play a lot of Tamers. So having a way to turn those Tamers into other cards that you might need is very helpful. Definitely happens a lot where your hand would just clunk up with a lot of Tamers and you need a way to be able to filter for your real cards. Next, going into the level 4 lineup, one of the biggest changes for the deck was in the level 4 lineup with the introduction of BT21 ArrestorDramon, which Digicross with level 3, or just Digicross with the Digimon with save and text, plays out for 4, and also has the on play or when Digivolving, you may play a Tamer card with the Hunter or Hero trait from your hand without paying the cost, which is really good because before the deck was playing the BT12 Damimon, which sometimes was good because you might not have a Tamer in hand and you could hit one off the top 3 to get an extra Tamer, but most of the time it was just very inconsistent and you would whiff and you'd be slow on getting your Tamer set up, which would really hurt. So now with the ArrestorDramon being able to phase out the Damimon, it's really good, and now you have 8 copies of a level 4 that just says play a Tamer from hand, which is really good. Speaking of the 8 copies, the other 4 copies is the BT12 King Shout, which is on play or on Evo, plays a Taiki, a Yu, or a Tagiru from your hand, which is just the 3 main Tamers you want on the board anyway. So very nice just to have that consistency of having 8 cards that let you turbo out your Tamers.
So one of the
Next is the...
just
Oh,
really
what's up?
quickly, I wanted to ask. So one of the characteristics about a lot of the 4s is that their ability to save, right? One of the main gimmicks of the Hunter's deck. And so I know there's a lot of players that are going to be picking up the deck pretty soon. And so one of the biggest things that they need to remember is that with your Monimon, the on deletion to draw 1 if you have the save keyword, you have to resolve your Monimon prior to the save, because by gameplay ruling, if the card you're saving is no longer in the trash, the card that with the Monimon inherit, you then lose the on deletion from the Monimon. So you have to resolve the Monimon before resolving your save if you want to get the draw, assuming you're tucking away what you had deleted, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you have to make sure you properly sequence your on deletions to make sure you don't accidentally lose out on that extra draw,
Yep.
which is always very nice to have.
Yep. All right. Sorry. Go on ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, moving forward, we play 4 of the BT12 Arrestor. Obviously, very important card for the deck when evolving. If you have 2 or more sources, this Digimon gains Rush for the turn. Basically, it lets you always be able to play on board, even if you have nothing in raising, because you can slam one of your rookies for 2 to 3 cost, and then evolve into this using your Tamers to tuck some sources under, and then get Rush. And you can follow up with a level 5 and be able to push damage or remove or interact with the board in some way, which is just in general very strong. And also opens up a lot of lethal lines by being able to cheat out an extra swing with the rush body. And then wrapping up the level 4 lineup is 2 copies of Tuarmon. This card is really good. It just digivolve 3 from any level 3 with save. And then on Evo, it de-digivolves 1 from a level 5. And for every 2 sources under the Tuarmon, you increase the level that you can de-digivolve. De-digivolve in general has just become a very strong keyword. In the format, there's a lot of stuff that, like might have protection, or it might just be like annoying to remove, and you can just go into Tuarmon, de-digivolve it, and just have very easy access to removal. Or like it easily enables your other forms of removal, or just gets rid of like really annoying bodies that are hard to interact with, which is really nice. And then moving on to the level 5 lineup, which are kind of the stars of the deck. I'm running 4 copies of the new Superior mode from BT21, or ArrestorDramon Superior mode, I guess I should specify, from BT21. This card is insane for being just like a rare. It's really good. It's so it evolves for 3 over level 4 with save or hero in its trait, and it has raid and piercing, which is really good. But you wouldn't expect it to be that good on level 5. But it says so when digivolving, you can attack without suspending. So the turn you evolve into it, you get an extra swing, or if you're passing turn, then it just gives you like pseudo blitz, which is really good. And then all turns it gets plus 1000 DP for each of your sources. And so in Hunters, your Tamers, they tuck under themselves at the start of main, and then you tap them to put sources under your Digimon. So if you have a bunch of your Tamers in play, you can get this ArrestorDramon up to, all turns, I've had it hit like 16, 17k really easily. And then with inherits like the new BT21 Gumdramon, ArrestorDramon, and even like the old Dracmon, on your turn, this thing can get up to like 20, 22k. Like it can get really, really big. It just hits over everything. And with raid and piercing, you're basically just trading with like everything, or yeah, pretty much everything. Unless like except for like Gallant, which can get bigger, which is just really good. It's a very nice addition to the deck compared to old Superior mode, because with the raid, it means that even after the turn you evolve into it, it'll be consistently removing stuff off the board. And with the introduction of aces and overflow, one of the annoying things with the old Superior mode is that you don't actually get the overflow from putting the ace card under a different card. So having this to be able to benefit off of that overflow is really nice to have. And then obviously the other level 5 slot is going to be the BT12 ArrestorDramon Superior mode, which is still a very good card. It evolves for 4 over like a red, black, or purple level 4 with save. And then when digivolving, you take one of your opponent's Digimon and you put it under one of their Tamers or their other Digimon. It starts at level 3, and then for every different Tamer, or every Tamer that you have with a different color, you increase it by 1. This deck plays a bunch of colors, so you'll normally be able to get it to level 6 or 7 pretty easily. But also combined with like the Tuarmon, it could get you that extra reach to be able to remove a body. And then it also has end of your turn. If you have 4 more Digivolution cards, this Digimon may attack without suspending. So this gives you like consistent 2 swings every turn it's on the board, compared to new Superior mode, which is only 2 swings the turn you evolve into it and keep turn. This is a very good alternate form of removal, but I'm only playing 3 copies because I think there's a lot of new cards that we want to fit in the deck that are really strong, and I think new Superior mode is going to be better most of the time, just because just it's very good early game to be able to have that consistent huge raid threat, and also just trades very well into a lot of different decks. It's just overall very, very strong. But the old one still has its purpose, and also it also still has the when attacking draw 1 inheritable. So it's just good to have at high copies, because you can always tuck it under your Digimon to draw some extra cards. Going into the level 6 lineup, this deck before basically played no level 6s, and you can get away with no level 6s even now, but I'm running the 1 copy of the new Darkdramon Ace that we got, which obviously is a Blast Evo, and it's on play when digivolving, de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, and then delete all of their Digimon with the lowest play cost. I'm playing the 1 copy because this deck kind of lacks defensive tools at times, and it's not like it's that hard to remove your level 5s. They don't have like protection or anything, but even so, it makes your opponent kind of respect the level 5s and force to out them, or else they might get aced. And in the past, purple didn't really have very good aces. The best one you had was like the old starter deck Melga Ace, which at best could like sometimes steal turn, but it wasn't like particularly good. But now we got this new ArresteredDramon Ace, which is really, really strong. And also with the new superior mode being red, you could play like a variety of aces. You could play the new Melga and Warg aces from the Adventure Starter decks. You can also play like other random red top end, like Medieval Gallant or like the red purple Imperial that has the floodgate effect, which is really good. So in general, your top end can be pretty toolboxy. There's a lot of lists that just don't play any top end, but I like having the one just to make my opponent kind of respect my level fives and make them think twice before just swinging in. And then that's just for level 6 lineups. And for level 7, we're playing one level 7, which is obviously the Quartzmon. This card has been like the main boss monster for hunters for a little bit, or maybe not the main one, but it's like your highest level that you might go into sometimes. So it's a level 7, it digivolves for 9 from a level 5 with save and text, but also digivolves over black, which can come up with the Darktraman Ace. But when digivolving, you suspend everything on the board, and then you gain 2 for every 2 suspended Digimon or Tamers, and all turns, anything or nothing can unsuspend. So you basically just slap this on, or evo this over your level 5, get a bunch of memory back, and just stun the board. And then the one attacking is also really good. You suspend something, and then you trash the top security for every 5 suspended Digimon and their Tamers, which you're able to enable that pretty easily because you play out so many Tamers, and your opponent will probably have some stuff on board too. So it's a nice finisher as well to trash a bunch of security. But the reason I'm still playing this card, a lot of lists aren't playing it. I think BT21 added a lot of like Tamer heavy decks into the meta, and it's just like really good. Like Adventure will be playing a lot of Tamer, so you can play this as like a finisher to like maybe burn like an extra security or two and get into lethal. Obviously, Shine made a comeback, and it's very good into that deck. Hunter Mirror as well is very strong, being able to not give them the ability to like reduce their Evo cost. And then there's like Cross Heart, there's Red Hybrid, there's a bunch of Tamer Reliant decks. So having like the 1-of Quartz for those matchups definitely feels really strong. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it for the Digimon lineup. So the Tamers is basically the rest of the deck. So the biggest addition is the new SR Taigiru that the deck got. 4 cost, start of main phase by placing a Digimon with save in its text or hero trait, you draw 1 and gain a memory. And then it has the same text as all the other Hunter's Tamers, which is when any of your Digimon will digivolve into a card with save, you suspend it, take a source from under one of your Tamers, put it under the Digimon, and you reduce the cost by 1 for every Tamer that you have. Or so every Tamer can activate that effect to reduce by 1. And this card is just really insane for the deck because before you had the 3-cost Taiki and the 3-cost Yu, which respectively draw 1 and gain 1. And now you have one card that does both. So one of the annoying things before is you were either drawing a lot of cards or gaining memory, but it's kind of hard to like keep track of your or maintain like good resource management by choosing like when to draw and when to gain memory. But Taigiru, you can just put a card under and you get both, and it's just really good and a huge benefit to the deck, and one of the main reasons why Hunters is like coming back as a deck. And then for the other Tamers, I'm playing 2 copies of the BT12 Taiki, 2 copies of BT12U, and then 1 copy of the old Memory Tamer Taigiru. You still want to play these guys because you want to have a lot of these Tamers on the board to get the cost reduction. And it's just very nice. You also want the different colors for like, All Superior mode, which is really good. And I'm playing the 1-of Taigiru just because I like having Mem Tamers. You don't always need it, but it's nice to, if you need to get to like a specific memory threshold, Taigiru either lets you, get there by tucking under your other Taigirus and you, or you just don't need to commit as many resources under your Tamers to get to a memory threshold that you want because you have a memory Tamer in play. Next, for the other Tamers in the deck, these are the ones that you basically can't play for free. Or I guess, you can't really play for free as consistently. You have 3 copies of Watchmaker. This card is essentially how you secure lethal a lot of the time. So on play, it's a Searcher. Dig top 3, you add a Digimon with save and a card with Hunter trait, which is just really nice consistency boost to have. And then the main reason it's here is the main effect. If you have 4 more Tamers in play, you suspend Watchmaker and you give one of your Digimon with save security attack +1. This card is really good for killing your opponent in this deck because your level 5s can swing twice. So you can, like, Watchmaker turns them from 2 checks into 4 checks, which lets you lethal really easily. I've gotten a lot of games where I've killed my opponent on like turn 4 because you like Evo Rookie, slam a Tamer, promote Evo level 4, play another Tamer, and then play Watchmaker. and then another Evo cycle, play the fourth Tamer, and then you just promote, swing 4 checks, slam a rookie Evo into ArrestorDramon for rush, and then you just have game there. So yeah, Watchmaker is really good. It's at 3 because you want to be able to see it consistently enough to actually kill your opponent, and you want to see it kind of early because you can't really free play it. So later in the game, you won't have as many opportunities to get it on the board. And then for the last Tamer, something I've been testing, which I've been really liking, is the BT21 Secret Rare Tai Kamiya, which is a bit of a strange inclusion, but I think it's actually been working really well so far from the games I've played. So first of all, it's a Mem Tamer, which is very nice. Having extra copies of Mem Tamer is always good. And then your turn, when one of your Digimon attacks, you can suspend it to draw 1. This deck has a lot of draw power already, but you want to have a lot of draw power because you need to be able to consistently see your Tamers and all your Digimon and stuff. So it's nice to have that extra draw power. But the main reason I'm trying it out is for the main effect. So you may play one adventure or hero trait card with a play cost of 2 or less from your hand without paying the cost. For each of your Tamer's colors, add 1 to this effect's play cost maximum, and then you bot deck the Tamer. So the synergy here is you play this alongside so you use this effect to play the new Gumdramon, which then plays it for free. You get a little bit of extra dig, and then you can evolve that Gumdramon into ArrestorDramon, or like the rush ArrestorDramon for an extra swing, or just like any level 4 that you might need in that specific scenario. But essentially, just like an extra 3 memory because you can play out your rookie for free. So if you're like kind of tight on memory, you have this option. It's kind of like a pseudo scramble, except you can decide like mid turn if you want to use it or not, which is really nice versus like having to commit to the scramble early on. And also, I haven't used this as much, but it can come up sometimes. If you bottom deck the Tai, you can actually play out the new Tagiru because it has the hero trait. If you really need that extra source or like that extra memory from having another Tamer, that's also an option too. But yeah, the main synergy here is you play it with the Gumdramon to get an extra body on the board to rebuild really easily and very memory efficient. And it's been working really well so far. And I think, if you have the Secret of Ties, it's definitely worth testing out in Hunter's deck for sure.
So one of the things that I also wanted to point out is that the new ArrestorDramon plays both Hunter and Hero. So while it does play all of your, Hunters related Tamers, it also does play the tie out. So that's a really easy way to get that into play. So you're not always having to pay that 4 cost. But also, new Tagiru being dual colored means that it's kind of streamlining the process to get like your ArrestorDramon online, right? Because
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
because you can now, instead of having to like a lot of time in old Hunters, you want to get like as many Taikis out as possible because you want to be able to draw cards, but you need to get other Tamers like in play for the colors. But Tagiru being 2 colors by itself means that having 2 of them in play is 2 different colors for your superior mode, so you don't feel like as bad having to play 2 of the same Tamer, because either way you're still getting both the draw and the memory gain, and you're like increasing your color count for like your superior mode and your other cards as well.
Yeah, and so just really quickly before we go into the gameplay section, I just wanted to ask, what do you think are your good matchups? What do you think are your bad matchups?
Yeah, so I think, I think it's easiest to go over like the bad matchups. I think one of probably the hardest and most meta relevant one is probably going to be Adventure. The deck kind of struggles with dealing with aces, right? I mean, superior mode can get rid of 1 body, or like old superior mode can get rid of 1 body. New superior mode doesn't get rid of anything before the ace, which can be a little bit awkward. And obviously, Adventure just kind of sits on level 5s and has aces that can kind of ruin your day. But also, you can't really interact well with the black option. So anytime that you have no way of kind of getting around triggering it. So you either run into an ace or you run into the black option, and it's just very hard to actually be able to get through the Adventure player. And obviously Quartz can come down for cheap and can get a lot of sec trash, but Adventure is able to play with their Tamers suspended for the most part, as long as they have like memory to evolve, or if they have a tie to free play level 4. So in general, that matchup is just really hard to interact with your opponent's board state, and you can't really stop the black option or the aces from coming down, so it's very hard to push for damage in that matchup. Other hard matchups, I mean, in general, Tamer removal is still a bit annoying. With the new promo Gaio, people might be playing that with like Hades Force and stuff as Tamer removal. There's also Galacti, which I actually think uh, is a lot better than it looks initially. Promo Destro is a very strong card, but most of the time in that matchup, they're popping 7 cost worth of Tamers, and with the new Tiger being 4 cost, you can set up multiple of those, and it's hard for them to really limit your resources. And the new Superior mode is just really good at contesting their Destramon or even contesting their Galacti sometimes, because you can get bigger than the Galacti, and if they only have the 1 layer of protection, you can get through that pretty easily. Other bad matchups, I'd have to like do more testing, but yeah, in general, like Tamer removal is pretty rough. Decks that can get like easy immunity could be a bit hard. Like, in general, aces are a bit of a threat for this deck, especially if your opponent is being conscious of playing around the old superior mode removal. It's very easy to get aced and then not have much of a follow up because you committed a lot of your resources into this level 5, which can be a little bit unfortunate. But in general, I think this deck has a very solid matchup spread into a lot of decks. For example, Royal Knights, the new superior mode is very strong. It's a big body that can be a little bit annoying to remove since they have so much DP, and every time they don't remove it, you just keep raiding into their level 6s and slowing them down and pushing damage, which is really nice. Other decks like, like Gallant, again, the DP on the new superior mode is really good. You can pass turn on the evolution and then just swing into it end of turn, which is really nice. Decks like, I don't know, Blue-Green Imperial, you can get more sources than their ace. Sakuya is an interesting one that I want to test out, but I think that one should be pretty even too. I think in general, the deck just has a lot of even matchup spread, or like a pretty even matchup spread overall, where you don't have like too many super favored matchups, but you also don't have a lot of like hard losing matchups. So it's like it's a deck if you're very comfortable with it, I think you'll be able to do well in like a tournament because you have options for most matchups.
Perfect. And again, thank you so much for going over we have here. A game that we played earlier versus Zero or Donkey Nog, whatever you want to tell yourself it is. And we're gonna have Llama basically commentate the play-by-play. So whenever you're ready, man.
Yeah, I'm good to go. So going into this, I'll see in a second. I guess first, yeah, Mulligan. So normally I'm looking for Rookie plus a Tamer. This hand is really good because you can go Rookie plus Watchmaker to dig for a free play level 4 and a Tamer as well, which is really nice. So play the Watchmaker, but unfortunately, yeah, nothing really good here. So this hand's a little rough to start. But passing over to Zero, he is playing Three Musketeers. He's playing the like tower version with Gundra, which going into it I thought was a pretty hard matchup, but we'll see how it plays out. Yeah, so here we see he slams the Gigadramon, gets the option, and then is able to pop the Watchmaker. So here, the first thing I'm thinking about is whether or not they're gonna ace. So I'm just like worried about them going Beelstar Ace, because I could just go Evo Arrestor, Evo Superior mode, punch over, and then have that established. But if they have like the Beelstar Ace with a removal option, then we basically lose all our progress and have nothing set up. So I'm just thinking about what the best line of play here is. I think eventually I decide to just promote, slam the tie, draw a card, or like draw some cards and see what we draw into to set up for, future turns. Yeah, just really here saying a little bit because I was just thinking about it. There we go. For promote, play out the tie, and yeah, just swing, draw, just get the guaranteed value. And so we do live. We draw into the new Arrestor. He didn't ace anything, so we can assume he probably doesn't have ace. So at this point, the hand is kind of bricked, but we can Evo into the new Arrestor and hope for a Tamer top deck. Evo for 2, and we do get the new Tiger, which is really nice. So just get that set up on the board. And our board state is pretty well set up. I think we have like the best Tamer in the deck and a memory Tamer, so we're guaranteed to have a lot of resources, available whenever we want. The unfortunate thing here, though, is again, one of the issues with this deck is dealing with aces and immune bodies. So here, if he ends on this board state, we have a very clean out by Digicrossing and then going to Rush Arrestor and then Old Arrestor to remove the board. But here's the idea. So he clears level 4, we're triggering the save, just keeping all the resources. An important thing to note is you want to try and avoid putting sources under your tie, because if you bot Decade, then all the sources get trashed. So you want to keep your sources on your other Tamers. We see James here evolves into the Gundra passing turn. And now one of the annoying things about this board state is if I attempt to remove the Gundra, he can't trigger the protection and de-Digivolve. which, with our limited resources, we don't have the resources to go like play Rookie, Evo 4, Evo 5, trigger Digivolve, and then Evo 5 again. So here I'm just trying to play more like slow, because this deck, or Three Musketeers, is pretty slow to kill. So we can just keep setting up more Tamers, and just kind of hang out while seeing what James is setting up. So I'm just thinking about which Tamers to play, just kind of looking at the board, seeing what options they have. Yeah, this is one of the matches I was saying is like a bit annoying. It's just like an immune body that we struggle with like interacting with, but it's also one of the matchups where the Tuarmon is really, really strong into. So yeah, we just set up the Taigiru and the Yu. Don't really need a second copy of the Tai, because we'd rather get our other Tamers that are filtering more cards for us and setting up our sources for future plays. So just do this, which also gives them gives them 3 memory versus like 4 memory to work with. So it's pretty easy line of play there. Now we're just waiting to see what he's going for here. He goes into the Tankmon and just activating all his effects. And just thinking here, I'm just trying to think of how I'm kind of interacting with their board. But here we see this Satella, which is another annoying card in this deck because it gives you the Digivolve immunity, which means our main way of getting through Gundra is now gone, because he's giving himself the Digivolve immunity. But thankfully he has 2 stacks, so we can at least Digivolve one of them and then try and get rid of it. So yeah, we see here he trashes the purple option, and goes into another Gumdramon, top 6, whiffs again. And so now we have 4 memory and we're staring down 2 Gumdras, which is a little scary. We definitely need to find a Tuarmon here, but I mean, we have draw for turn plus the 2 Taigiru draws, and we just top deck the Tuarmon, which is really nice. So now we're just thinking about what the line is here, but we definitely have to promote to try and contest board. And so obviously you always want to go with your Taigirus first over your Taikis or your Yus, unless you have a very specific memory threshold you're hitting, because you always want to, get the draw and the mem gain before activating either just your draw or just your mem gain. So here we always want to go for the Taigirus first and then the Yu after. But here I decided to stop, not tuck anymore, because we already have 4 sources, so we have plenty to work with, and I don't have a lot of cards in hand to keep getting rid of cards without guaranteeing. We have a guaranteed line, so we want to risk losing our guaranteed line by tucking more stuff under. Here there is a bit of a misplay, so I kind of greed and go for the double draw inherits when I should have gone for the double DP inherits, because our line here is so Digivolve the Gumdra that was already on the board before, and then this Gigadra doesn't get protected by the Gumdra, so we can evolve to Old Superior, get rid of the Gigadra, and then if I did make sure to put in the second DP inherit, I'd be swinging 14k, which means that if the Gumdra were to block, he would have to force his protection, either way he has to force his protection, but at least this time he forces protection and we live. But now when I evolve into it, it'll only be 12k, which means we crash, so it's just a very good trade for him, because he's able to, keep his board, or keep his body on the board, and I can't, and I don't have anything on the board for myself. So here we go, tuck the Gigadra, and it's most of the time you want to tuck under Tamers, because most decks have no way of grabbing cards from under their Tamers, so it's just nice to kind of remove something from the board pretty much forever. You're never gonna have to deal with that specific Gigadramon coming back or anything. And here we're just swinging, we're trying a lot of cards. Yeah, might as well just swing here, see what we draw, see if that changes, how we want to set up our board. And then, yeah, he goes for the block and we trade, which again is just it's pretty unfavorable for us. But at the same time, we're kind of chipping down the protection, which is good because we have to get through that eventually. And then here we draw into the Watchmaker off the egg. Looking at this hand, the play is going to be Digicross, King Shout, and play the Tiger, I believe it's Tiger. Yeah, Tiger is always better here because it's the mem gain and we're playing it for free anyway. But I opted to Digicross here over just playing the Tamer, just to have something on board that the opponent, my opponent has to interact with. We have a lot of Digimon in hand. We have, even if they remove this King Shout, we have a full line. So at worst, we're able to just go back up into a line immediately. But at least this way, if they don't remove it, then we're in an even better spot because we can conserve, or we can draw and filter some more and not have to worry about whiffing on parts of the line. So here we're just kind of waiting to see what he does. Not very much going on. Yeah, he goes into the Beelstar X. So here he's just going to be pushing for damage. Again, one of the unfortunate things about this deck is there's not a lot of defensive options here. So I kind of just have to like take all this damage because I have no way to, like ace or block or like any way to like force him to interact with my board before just swinging out here for all these checks. So he transfers 2, deletes my king shout. And so here we're saving with the king shout. It saves itself first, and then it saves something from the trash. And so here I decide to specifically save the Quartzmon because we have Psychmon in the deck. So we can like grab the Psychmon to grab the Quartzmon again if we need to out the Gumdramon, which is just really, really nice option to have since outing the Gundra is very annoying for this deck. And that's in general one of my favorite lines is just like crashing a level 4, saving something from trash that I need, and then going Slam Psych, pick it up, and then go from there. So you see, yeah, he's just evolving up the line again, goes into another Satella, which means, again, his board is very difficult to interact with. So yeah, he's setting up the immunity again, and gonna follow up with another Gundramon. So at this point, the match is looking pretty difficult. There's just not a lot of, there's not much we can do to interact with this board. He still has a lot more damage to come out. Yeah, it goes Analog, and then I believe he just swings with the Beelstar X and ends on Gundra. Yep. So at this point, yeah, we're on the back foot here, but I mean, there's a lot of draw left on the board. And I mean, we have like a lot of memory to work with. We have 4 Tamers in play that reduce cost. So yeah, it goes into the Gumdra, hits the option to burn the last security. And then, yeah, so basically we have to do something, or, we basically just lose the next turn, which the only out at this point is the Quartzmon, which is basically what we're banking on drawing here. So starting with all of these Tagirus, we're digging very heavily for the Quartz and also the new Gumdra, because we have the tie in play. It gives us a lot more memory to work with, which we draw there. So that's essentially +3 memory this turn, which is really nice. And yeah, we have 5 sources already, but we want to just like keep drawing, and we just want as much memory as possible this turn because we have to make a play happen. So we want to just see as many cards as we can, Evo Gumdra, and then we're going to go tie effect to play the new Gumdra and draw an extra 2 cards by discarding this tie in our hand because we don't really need the tie at this point. There's not, the game is ending pretty soon, so we have to make a play happen now. So yeah, Evo, we want to use 2 of these Tamers to reduce the cost, make it free. I just, one of the strengths of the deck is so easy to rebuild when you have all these Tamers set up. Just checking all the sources, it's a little hard to check everything on DCGO, so you got to make sure you're not accidentally misplaying anywhere. And you're just triggering the Tamers. The order you trigger the Tamers doesn't matter too much because the Tamers can pick from any of your sources. So you can just kind of go in whatever order, and then you just make sure here, don't accidentally use these. And then we draw into the Quartz, so we have the line pretty established here. And the nice thing is here, we're not worried about an ace threat. And also, I believe I checked the sources later, but the only source they have under their Gundra is the memory gain one. So we can actually swing here with the superior mode without like any fear, because they can't ace. If they block, we just lose a memory, which is fine. And as you can see, this thing is 22k DP, so this guy is massive. He's not dying at anything, insecurity, or any like Digimon insecurity. There's a chance of hitting an option, but we've already seen a lot of options, just like from his digs and stuff. So, I'm not super worried about hitting anything crazy here. Yeah, just hit the scope. And then, so here we just want to evolve into the Quartz. Here I'm just counting to make sure that, to see if I can get away with playing a Watchmaker here, but we're not able to, so we just, evo into the Quartz for 9, and then we gain back 4 memory. So now we have 2 memory, and the board is just completely locked. And we also get an extra burn, we get the burn, which is really nice, putting some extra damage. And I was just at 2 memory, so we could just slam Watchmaker. Looking back, I think slamming the Taiki was probably the correct option, because the security type +1 doesn't really matter. We only have 11 cards in deck, so we can probably draw like most of it next turn. Oh yeah, just put him at 1, and so he really doesn't have James doesn't have like a lot that he can do here. He's not able to kill this turn because of the Quartzmon, so his best play is just to remove it and hope that I can't kill him next turn. He goes for the Beelstar Ace, returns, grab an option from trash, and then play an option from hand. Does grab the Der Blitz, which removes the Quartzmon. But now, I mean, he is pretty much just dead here. The Gundramon is still suspended, so this is one blocker, and he has no ace threats on this board because they're all level 6s. So yeah, just checking the board, making sure that we're not missing anything. But yeah, I mean, with the rookies in our hand and the ArrestorDramon, we can get like a lot of swings this turn, especially like the level 5s and stuff, and we have a lot of memory to work with. So yeah, here we're just drawing cards, making sure we see everything that we can. Here I decided to actually stop because I kind of need, or just in case I want a lot of these cards that are already in my hand. So I want to make sure that I don't overspend, or overuse cards, especially because we already have 5 sources. So we're going to be getting value out of all these Tamers regardless. So yeah, just checking everything, making sure we're not accidentally misplaying. But yeah, we just swing the Gumdramon in, check that they're blitz, which is fine. Draw 1 before triggering the save, and then we save, and we're able to just slam the rookie and evolve into the ArrestorDramon for game. Although I think, just for playing with friends and doing a little bit of BMing here, so just like activating a bunch of effects when we really need to. But yeah, evo the Arrestor. When you Digicross with with one of your Digicross level 3s, you actually don't need to tuck any sources under to get the 2-source requirement for the rush. But if you're playing the new Gumdra, which doesn't have Digicross, you do need at least one extra source under it to get the rush, which is important to keep in mind. So yeah, here we're doing 1, but it doesn't really change anything. Yeah, we have 3 sources. So we pretty much have it. Yeah, tab Watchmaker can get security attack +1 for no reason, and then play the other Watchmaker. Then yeah, he scoops because the game is dead.
All right. And so first of all, thank you very much, Llama, for coming on the channel and giving that very, very in-depth guide to hunters. It was really insightful, honestly, seeing how you like optimize certain draws and try to like squeeze as much advantage as you possibly could. Is there anything you want to say to the viewers before we wrap up the video?
I don't know. I think people should try it out. There's a lot of flexibility with this deck, especially the top end. So definitely encourage people to experiment. There's a lot of different stuff you can do with the ratios, the cards you can play. There's a lot to try out, and I think in general this deck is very flexible and really fun to play. And also, I've seen a lot of lists that are playing cross-up, and I will just say I don't think that card is very good. I think if you optimize your lines and optimize your resource management, a lot of the time you won't need the cross-up to help you out, because since it's just like, pay 1 memory to refund a memory, so it's like you're essentially just you're not getting a lot of value out of it. If it was a 0 cost, I could see it, but with it being 1 cost, this is not very impactful of a card, and I think there's a lot more cards you could play instead of the cross-up that just benefit you a lot more than trying to play the cross-up.
But Llama, we see people play 3 cross-up.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think that just means the deck is so good that you can play a 47 card list and you'll be able to find success. Because I'll be honest, I don't know, unless I'm like missing some crazy interaction, I'm not seeing why cross-up is so highly valued in a lot of these lists that we're seeing.
Alright,
but in general, I don't think it's that good.
Yeah, and maybe in the future somebody like cracks the code or something like on this card, like because like for example, I gave can't turn my back a lot of shit, and then now I can't turn my back believer, so maybe cross-up is like the secret goo. But that being said, that's for later down the line. I just want to say thank you to everyone that has watched the video this long. I really do appreciate it. Again, thank you to Llama for coming on the channel. Be sure to check out the Hoang Zero Discord as well as the Hoang Zero Patreon if you're interested in more content. Llama also has some socials. I'll be sure to link them in the description down below. And just thank you in general to everyone. So any last words, or are you all good?
No, I'm pretty good. Yeah, it was a blast to be able to record another deck profile in here.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yes, Hunter's very fun. People should play it.
Yeah, also Llama plays Pokemon, so be sure to check out his Twitter for that. Peace out, everyone.
Oh no.